Hello.
Hi.
Welcome everybody to episode 3.
Episode 3. I feel like we only have like one or two episodes left after this. Like this went really fast.
Yeah, I think we were gonna slow down our chunks a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's just getting good.
Yeah. I have
All right, so we left off. We read through chapter 22. We
Mhm.
are now at chapter 23, which is starts with her in a nightmare,
Yeah. Tough for her.
describing a little bit of Endivere, and then she freaks out and wakes up and Kale's there.
So cute. Love that.
Also, like, why is he just there? But
I had that same thought. Uh,
and then we figure out it's Sam Juan,
That's why.
something. um,
A very similar like pronunciation. It's not the same spelling, but I would imagine it's very similar pronunciation, and it's Samhain,
whatever.
but it looks Sam Hain, and this is Sam Hewen. So I'm like, maybe it's still just Samhain. I don't know,
Yeah.
but we love it. All in all, we love a Halloween girly,
So yes, it's the holiday. There's a feast tonight. She's not allowed to go.
which is whack.
Yeah, and apparently they have all this service ritual thing, and yeah, she doesn't go to the service.
No, which like I get it. The party parts are more fun anyway.
But we do get to then switch to Dorian's perspective, where
Mhm.
he's glad that the service is finally over. Um,
And Selena's wearing something like not appropriate, I guess. Like I was
yeah,
trying to and like what the heck she was wearing that was like
apparently it's just like super outdated and like you're looking festive.
it's just like wag. Like that's I don't know. I don't know how that was like taken as like a bad thing. I don't know. Like it's a holiday. Like if someone tells me I'm looking festive, I'm like, yeah, all right.
Well, it also says like her outfit is centuries out of place,
Which is so
so
wild.
it's
Why
gotta be
you just watch that.
okay. Let's see it.
So, way later in this whole section that we're going to be talking about, like, I don't even know. Yeah, it's a comment that I have like later on. But like, she's clearly in like a special room that maybe just like hasn't been used in forever and belonged to like one of the older queens or like this ghost lady that comes by later. Like, so it would make sense like that clothes like that are still in there if it hasn't been used in forever, which also I'm this is going to jump all over the place right now because I was like why would they put her in that room that like obviously has a secret tunnel? Why would they do that unless they forgot about it? So
Yeah,
I feel like there's just a lot about this room that she's in that's like whack. And I just now had the thought of like, yeah, no, the clothes are centuries out of date. Why would there be clothes that are centuries out of date accessible to her?
true. Yeah. So she's walking through with Nehemia, and they run into him,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Stupid Duke Parrington
oh yeah, we don't like him.
wanted to like hold Nehemia hostage, which was not cool. I
Dorian
didn't
said, "No, thank you. No way that is happening."
good as he well should.
And then Dorian asked if Nehemia is going to the feast, and she's like, "Well, only if Selena's going." And
But
Selena's like, "Sorry, can't." Which this would have been the perfect place for Dorian to be like, "Oh, do you want to come?"
yeah, literally, literally,
He's just like, "No, sorry, you can't come."
so silly.
Yeah. So, uh, again, Nehemia will be going, but Selena will not. And then they kind of leave each other. But this was also the first time that Dorian's seen her since like the last time that he was there, right?
Always has something that he should keep to himself. That he's like, I'm just gonna let my unfiltered thoughts out.
Yeah, and then we also keep getting that he's like heading to the kennels, but no descriptions about that, which comes later. But
Yeah,
so then we're back to Selena. She She's still with Nehemia, and they're like walking with Kale. And she's kind of like questioning Kale and being like, he's like, I'm not a soldier, I'm a guard.
It's like, what difference? Tell me in really simple terms, what's the difference?
Yeah, and then she got angry. And she's like, you kill on the orders of your king.
Mm-hmm.
Little hint there, not her king.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I did mark something today. Where she's like, think it's useless to argue with her.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not gonna win. And then she makes the comment about, oh, like perhaps you shouldn't have given Taryn your title, who's Kale's brother.
Right.
And he's like, you remembered my brother's name? It's like, yeah, some people remember facts about other people. Sorry that you forgot.
Yep.
And right after that, you told me, why wouldn't I remember? He looked handsome today.
Literally, I'm like,
Super unnecessary to add, but she noticed. It was the way his hair met his golden skin in the tiny gaps between the strands, the way it fell across his brow. Okay, girl. You weren't describing him like that before.
you're crushing hard.
I suppose you'll enjoy the feast. Without me there, that is. She's really mad. She likes to party. Like
Listen,
this is one thing that is like different from other like strong, like fighter, warrior female characters. Like she wants expensive shit and she wants to go party and have fun. Like she'll
yep.
go kill all these people, but she wants to wear a fancy dress and get all dolled up.
I'm like, I love this for her. It's the duality of women. It's great.
So yeah, it's a party. Everyone loves party. Shall I bring you a trinket from the revelry?
Which is, I have to like not get ahead of myself on.
And then she kind of calls him a friend, and then he's like, "Oh, friend? Well, scowling escort."
Reluctant acquaintance.
Yeah, and then
And then he,
forgotten Nehemia was there.
yeah,
And she's like, "You got to teach me."
which is also
Yeah, they decide that
wild.
she's going to teach her.
Yeah, I think after this whole like section that we got through, I don't think I trust her. Like I trust her, but
Trust who? Nehemia.
because she like talked without an accent, like got everything perfect. Like later on, like
Not there yet.
but I'm like,
Yes, you. That's the vibes from the
this
chapters we just went through. You don't trust her.
this girl's smarter than she's letting which honestly, she's playing this whole thing way better than Selena is, because Selena, every moment that she's like, I'm not getting enough attention, I'm not getting enough credit for what I'm capable of. No, that's literally the whole point of being under her. What are you talking about?
And then down on the bottom, I marked here, which was 168. They were approaching the clock tower, black and menacing as always. But kneeling before it was Kane, his head bent. He focused on something on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Kane shot up, and he does a little stupid smile. And he's covered in dirt. Why? And then that's when Nehemia is like, who the fuck is that? And she's got to play it, oh, he's a soldier in the King's Army, but now he's with Duke Parrington. And then I marked the next thing too. Nehemia looks, something about him makes me want to beat in his face. It's like, you just picked up on that like that.
Yeah.
We all feel the same way.
Yes. He just has that effect on people.
Yeah, so then they kind of notice on the ground, and she asks Nehemia, she's like, what do you think this is? And she's like, it's a weird mark.
Which is wild, because like she literally acts like she has no clue what these are later on.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, what do you mean? You were the one that said what they were.
You're the one who gave us the inclination of what they are.
I literally.
So she was like, can you read them? No, they're part of an ancient religion that died long ago.
I have a note there, and it literally is just, this seems important. Because so much about this that I'm like, all right, these are going to be important later on, and I also have no clue where it's going.
Yep. It's like, all right, introduction of some weird ancient thing. Mark that down to save for later. And then she's also kind of like aggressive about it. She's like, you should leave it alone. They're forgotten for a reason. Like, Here we go, move on.
Yep.
And then we also get like halfway down the next page too. She's like, you're hiding something. You're more than you seem, Lillian.
All right. Her, like, Nehemia looking at, like, if someone's looking at that spot on my head all the time, I'm going to be like, what's going on?
It's like, is there something on my head? Why are you looking directly in between my eyebrows?
But she does it, like, a lot, like, this is not the first time, or this is not the last time that this happens, like, in
Right.
this section. And I'm like, all right, do we have mind reading abilities? Like, what do we got here?
Yeah, I think it just ends there, right? Then also
Yeah.
so they decided that they're going to meet again and they're gonna teach each other the language. Next chapter we get in, Selena is in bed. She has a test tomorrow, so it's later this night where
Mhm.
she's not going to the feast and everyone else is.
Yeah.
She kind of talks about the tapestry that she notices again, which has forest animals and a woman, and it's life size, which I forgot about the first time. Like I knew like it covered like a big portion of the wall, but like I didn't put together that like the lady in it is life size.
Yeah.
So that's a little strange. So then she kind of noticed that she can move it. Then she finds a door. Then we go in the door to the secret tunnel.
Mhm.
So we're just vibing with secret tunnels here. This is what, secret tunnel number 2?
Yes.
She kind of goes down there. Smart to like bring the yarn in the
Yeah.
trunk.
We're smart in this moment. Like,
I
this
wish
is,
we could be like this all the time. So she grabs everything, kind of goes through. It's cold but dry. Gross. And then it's all
better than
pretty
hot and
dark,
better than being hot and humid.
I guess, yeah. So she goes through, there's some archways. She decides to just go straight. She heads to running water. This is a lot of description. Do, 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 do. Then she reaches a gate, which she figures out could lead her out.
Yeah. So, like, this is where I'm like, there is, like, either they put her in here on purpose to give her an out, or they're all really stupid. And, like, I don't understand how you would, like, if you're putting an assassin in here, this is basically, like, it's basically a jail cell for her.
Mhm.
Why? Why would we not fully search this area for secret that lead out?
I feel like part of this is also because it's technically like the lower, like stone part of the castle, which is the whole big glass castle. So, like, nobody I think is normally around here. So,
But,
like,
like, if you're gonna put someone in like a cell, you're gonna make sure that there's no like loose stones, or like that they can bend the bars, or like
I
it's just
mean, they gave her a billiard room with, like,
cue balls. Like, that
yeah,
she's an assassin, she can make weapons out of these. They're
yeah,
just,
exactly. So,
I don't think we.
obviously, they're not the brightest with how they placed his here. All right. So then she figures out that she could get out, but she's obviously not going to. Then she comes back and goes the other way, right? Or does she keep going?
Yeah, yeah. She goes the other way and sees the whole party and the festival and everything, and a bunch of the other
Oh yeah,
competitors
like
are.
all the other competitors are there.
I would be the way I'd be so mad. I would
So,
have if
like I would
have
have just go.
I would have gone back out. I would have gone back to that straightforward.
Exactly.
Bye. I'm out.
I'd be like, everyone else is there. I'm going. Like it's more weird that she's not there.
Right. Right. Ugh.
So then she gets through all that, sees all the people there. Um, on the bottom, actually, before we're still there, 177.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mark it till the next page, but she spotted the crown prince dancing and laughing with some blonde idiot. Don't like her. Um, but she had difficulty not staring at him. She had no desire to talk to him, but rather just look at him to see the unusual grace, kindness in his eyes that made her tell him about Sam. Well, he might be a Haviliarn, whatever it is. He was, well, she still very much wanted to kiss him. You just said Kale was handsome.
We have a full love triangle on our
And
hands.
now you want to kiss Dorian?
No, we've got a full love
God
triangle.
damn.
And like that only gets worse in like the section where like when it switches to Dorian's perspective.
Right.
They're like having a Spider-Man moment where it's like, what are you doing here? No, what are you doing? And then it's I don't know. I'm not doing anything. What are you doing?
Yeah, so then she goes back to her room and she just kind of flings herself into bed, and then we switch over to what, Dorian? Dorian entered Selena's rooms. Not sure why exactly. But 2 in the morning, by the way. 2 in the morning. We ended up here. Good things do not happen at 2 in the morning.
No.
So he just gets in. Like, what? Her guards are probably outside the door. They're just chilling.
Yeah.
Good. Secret safe for them. Letting him in at 2 a.m.
He's the prince. He gets to do whatever he wants, I guess.
True. So then he walks in and sees that she's asleep in that still strange century-old dress. Then what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And then Kale freaks out and he's like, she's an assassin. Please tell me you haven't been here in the middle of the night before. Why are you coming to see her and all of this stuff? And then literally just like throws Dorian out of the room. See you later. Dorian,
Actually,
for some reason, did not sleep well that night. Then Kale's there. He takes a deep breath. What was he doing here?
what is he doing here?
It's also like, man, I should not have kicked the prince out. That's kind of like my bad. It's like, why would he kick himself out? And he's doing the same thing. Like, he didn't understand the rage that arose upon seeing Dorian standing in the doorway. Didn't want to understand that sort of anger. It wasn't jealousy.
Actually, it is.
Pretty sure. Are we positive?
Not really sure what else it could be, but
I wonder. I think Kale needs to watch Inside Out.
Kale needs to understand his emotional complexity a bit more.
So then, then we're talking about that he's fairly certain she's a virgin. Kale, we didn't need to know that.
Like, why does
You
that
need to not be thinking about that?
Why are any of us concerned with this?
And then again, she's still in her clothes. She looked beautiful, nothing to mask the killing potential that lay beneath. It was present in her strong jaw and the slope of her eyebrows and the perfect stillness of her form. She was a honed blade made by the king of assassins for his own profit. I read that and I don't might have been a thing, but might not. Like, had that moment of they said the name.
The name of the book.
It's not this book, but like,
yeah.
Oh my god, they did it.
No, there's so much, like, I don't know, they're all like so obsessed with each other right now.
Yep. And then she wakes up.
And then
she's like, it's not morning. It rolls over, like, get the fuck out.
Like, why am I awake right now?
I brought you a present. I got you $1. Gotta be quicker than that.
Oh, God. No, but then, like,
so she's like, she rolls over, she's like, ooh, a present.
No, and then it's a little ring, which everybody else has rings after this. And I was like, I don't know. The rings get weird.
Yeah, he gets that, and he's like, well, they were just giving them out, but he snagged one for her. It's like, oh, he was thinking about her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then she immediately put it on, and then just like passed out. She's literally like, oh, pretty. Okay.
Good night. Literally still dressed, and she's like, yeah, I'll change in a little bit.
And then he puts a blanket on her, and he leaves. All right. So now we head to 25.
Another dream,
supposedly. It starts out of she thinks it's a dream, and then by the end we realize not a dream.
Might have been not real. Might have been not a dream.
She's down the secret hallway in the passage again, and this time she goes to a different one. A bronze knocker in the form of a skull hung in its center. It seemed to be smiling. That's creepy.
Yeah, that's why.
Door swings open. She sees a sarcophagus and a tomb and all this other stuff, and then kind of puts together like, oh, these are like important people in here.
Mm-hmm.
She sees some weird marks, word marks, whatever.
Weird marks are honestly a better description for them.
Yeah, and then also she noticed that the floor was covered in stars,
and
the ceiling depicted the earth. Why are they reversed? And then we get have the coffins. It's written, Time's Rift.
Which I feel like if you unscramble the letters or something, maybe it does something. Because that's a really weird thing to just like have on.
Yeah. So then she notices that the ears are pointed, so they're fae. Then she realizes who the people are.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
That is Gavin, who was the first king, and Elena, who is princess of Terrasen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how I said that. Brandon's daughter, Gavin's wife and queen.
Yep.
Which we talked about earlier, right, Brandon?
Yes.
Okay. And then why was there nobody here? Why didn't anyone honor them? Well, maybe because you're in a creepy hallway and nobody knows it's there.
Yep.
Sentence, why was Elena Galathinius Havillard forgotten? There's jewels and weapons and a sword, Damaris, which all the swords got names apparently.
This is not one that we've heard though.
Yeah,
So.
at least this one's a little bit better. And then she gets surprised by a person.
Which is wild.
It's like, here we are again with the whole, shouldn't you like know someone's there? But I mean, I guess this one's a little more understandable because they're not real.
It is a ghost, so.
She goes, who are you? You know who I am. No names needed. Not quite a ghost, but she's risked a lot to come here, apparently. So then she starts talking to her. Need to just distract the 8 guardians, which we now learn are the gargoyles outside of the clock tower.
Yep.
They guard the portal between our worlds. She bought some time. I marked here. She hoped Elena wouldn't speak of what her heart refused to remember. Hoped that the queen wouldn't mention what she had spent so long forgetting. Hey, little mark there. Something's important that we're not learning about.
So I actually know. I think it's towards the. No, it's in the next chapter. But I have a feeling that Selena is like in this bloodline, and like we don't need to have like, I'm very against Dory and Selena now because I think they're gonna accidentally have like a Luke and Leia moment, and I don't need that. But
She marked it on 197.
now 193.
Okay, we'll get to there. Okay, another theory.
Yeah, another real life theory.
So we'll get there. Hold on. We got to go back to the evil.
Oh, actually, wait a second. What? Let me see. Number 10. Oh no, that's way later. No, I have like so many different notes about like.
I ran out of blue markers. I had to switch to yellow.
All right, so mine are all. I have numbers on them. Can you see that?
Yeah, but you like actually write notes, and I just put a little tab and see if I can remember what I thought.
There we go. I've got actual notes on all of it.
Mine's like I put a little tab, and I'm like, go back to it. It's like, why did I do this? It's a little fun game. Can I remember why it was important?
Yep.
Testing my memory because it's shit. That's why I'm rereading.
There you go. It's just you're discovering everything all over again.
Okay, so still we're way off track.
Yeah.
Evil's in the castle. Elena wants her to defeat it.
Yeah.
You got to become the king's champion. Elena gives her a necklace that will protect her from harm. Also makes the point that they were both led there. So, like, she didn't make her come, and the other one just kind of showed up. So it wasn't really Elena being the one, like, getting her there. They just kind of happened there.
Right.
Then they're coming, and they freak out, and she's like, you have to leave. And, tells her to run. Then she hears some screaming. Then she's back into the room, and now she's just awake. She's wearing her gown. She has to find and destroy the evil. And then she feels some metal, and she's like, please let this be the ring that Kale just gave me in the middle of the night. Wrong. It's
no, it's actually. Our necklace feel very different. So, like, I love her, but.
You know. I think the part of it, because it says like it cut her hand, so maybe it's just like she felt, I don't know. She describes it. It's very intricate.
Yeah. 2
overlapping circles, one on top of the other. There's a small blue gem in the center.
Like you could say, hey, it looks like an eye.
Yes. Then she looks back at the tapestry. She sees that it's realized that the lady is Elena on the tapestry. And she doesn't hear anything else now. So she's like, okay, I guess I'll be the king's champion because I was going to do that anyway. So we'll see where this takes us.
Right.
And we had a phantom breeze blowing through the road. Smelling of roses. Didn't pick up on that the first time. That we're getting quite a few descriptions of roses. And then she went back to sleep. Now we're in the next chapter.
And then Kale just immediately thinks that it's her that's just half eating bodies.
Yeah. He's like banging on the door like, Hello. Interrogating her. Yeah. Okay. You think that she would do this?
Yeah, it's wild.
So, thing was canceled. Champion Xavier was found dead.
Yep.
Also, anytime that I read Melisande, I think of Game of Thrones.
Yes. Yep.
um, the body was half eaten. Why would you think Selena ate a body?
And she's so funny. She's just like, tell me more. I want
It's like, So then, so she actually takes into the body, right? Before that, Kale glanced at the ring.
Mm.
She's
Mhm.
still wearing it. No lesson today. Oh, wait, no. She doesn't go for the body. She goes back to
No,
sleep.
I was gonna say, yeah, this isn't later.
My bad.
Not doing a lesson, going back to sleep.
Then she ends up back in the tomb.
Yeah. Yep.
There's nothing there. Do, 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 do.
And
Trying
then
to get an answer, see if she comes back.
yeah, so the line where she's like, "What's your purpose in telling me to do those things?" And then
Mm-hmm.
like, and why not get Dorian or Kale or Nehemia or someone else to do it? That was what prompted my bloodline note. I was like, okay, maybe it's important that it's her because she's like directly on like the Fae part of the bloodline
Okay.
because of the place that she's from.
See, I wouldn't even thought that. I was just like someone else. She just like didn't want to fucking do it. It's like
Well, I
anyone else.
I had like the bloodline thing in my brain from before, so that just kind of like
Yeah.
put me more into it. I was like,
Yep. And then she looks around one more time. Nothing. Heads out. And then if she won, she'd go find this evil. Maybe.
yeah, if it seems right.
Yeah. So then hours later,
Oh,
she leaves,
oh, yeah. So now she gets to go and see the body.
which not even gets to go. She just kind of like ends up there.
Accidentally see it.
So we're heading to the library. She kind of like hurries along to get there,
Mm-hmm.
so the guards can't like be like, no, go this way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we get a gruesome, gross description of this body being eaten.
Yep.
Obviously, it's not accidental. Yeah, so she noticed that there's weird marks, notices it's a little ritualistic. Um, then she sees grave
Mm-hmm.
and such a pity. And then he leaves. So now there's only 16 of them. 4 of them are going to duel.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get back into Dorian
Yeah, and him and Kale are just
fighting.
they're fighting.
Fun fighting.
They're fun fighting. And you know, hey, why were we where we were last night?
Yeah.
How long has that been going on?
Yep. So they're trying to figure each other out.
hmm
And Dorian does make the good point. You showed up to the room last night at the same time I did as well.
hmm
Also making the cheap shot, like, oh, that's when the other guy died. So kind of being like, you're not doing your job. And then he was
Yeah.
like, oh, sorry. Shouldn't have said that.
My,
So then they're talking about court because Kale tries to push it back on Dorian and be like, oh, like, how are your ladies?
yep.
The thing that I marked was down on the bottom of this page.
hmm
That didn't even have anything to do with what I thought before. They're talking about his dad, the
Yeah.
king. He's gone, no, I haven't the slightest idea. I remember him leaving like this when we were children, but it hasn't happened for some years now. I bet he's doing something particularly nasty.
Which is back when Selena was young and when her whole family got like when she got orphaned and started with the Assassin's Guild.
Right. So,
Like
yeah. And then he's like, be careful what you say about your father. And he's like, what, you're gonna throw me in the dungeons?
hmm
And then they're kind of like, they're not saying it, but they're implying, like, do you think someone's killing the champions? And like, how are we gonna protect her? Like, we can't, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then they kind of dip off. And we're at 27.
Yeah, and her and Nehemia are talking about the gargoyles and everything.
Yep. What is your obsession with these ugly things?
Do you think they move?
So then, yeah, they're talking about the weird marks. And then they're talking about,
No, wait, even before that, Nehemia, her accent was less thick, and then
oh,
Selena's
yeah.
like, wow, you're doing so good after only one lesson. And it's like, no, like Nehemia just needed an out for her to like be better at speaking that language. That's why she the
Yeah.
like.
And she reminds her, nothing good will come of these weird marks, like leave them alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about how she's never seen snow. And then
Yeah.
they're going to go to Elway together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
As the looking at her forehead thing again.
but yeah.
I literally have mind reading question mark.
And then she starts to explain the body to her too, because she was
Yeah.
asking what she was doing.
Yep.
And she's like, no, like, keep going. Like, tell me
That's
everything. It's like,
all. Yep.
why do you want to know everything, princess?
Hmm.
And then Kane shows up. He's like, look at these two. And then this is where we learn that Kane knows who she is.
Mm. Yeah. Which means that if Nehemia can actually understand more than she's letting on, then now she knows if she didn't already before.
No, didn't even put that together either.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yep.
But, well, no, he also said that part, like, whispering, like, quietly. So, like, even if she could understand, she probably didn't hear that part, but she's hearing the other stuff about being the prince's lapdog.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then he eggs her on. Hit me.
I really thought she was gonna do it too. So
She's talking about it too. She's like, 2 blows, he'd be on the ground, struggling to breathe.
Yep. So at least Nehemia is smart.
Yeah, she's like, let's go. Let's get out of here, away from this man. And then they walk away, and we're back to Kaelin Dorian, right?
Watching Selena punch her little punching bag.
Yep. He's like, oh, she looks stronger.
Well, yeah.
You've done a good job getting her back into shape. Ew.
She did that all by herself.
Well, I just meant that he's like watching her shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're talking about, will she stand a chance? And then Knox comes in and they're talking about Knox, and now they're both getting a little jealous. It's like, she's helping him? You allow her to help him?
Well, and then they're like, no, she could use an ally. She really doesn't need one. I still don't understand why she's doing this, but whatever.
Yeah. Then we hop back into Selena. A few days later,
Zip.
We are in the library with Kay. And she's reading through, trying to find stuff on weird marks, and he's just chilling there reading a different book.
Yeah.
And pretty uneventful here until kind of explaining the weird marks at the beginning, and then Kale's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then at the bottom of 207, that's where I had a note that was like definitely her family, because she was talking about the word gate and everything. And he's like, well, that's like not how we believe in things. Like, oh, maybe it was just like her family might have like followed all of this, but there's all this stuff that she doesn't remember. So that easily could have been like her family. Because he's like, 2 have lived here when royal families were slaughtered, when seers and magic wielders were burned alive, and the world fell into darkness and sorrow. Pretty sure she was a royal family member. So I think that this is stuff that she like already knows and either got like brain wiped or something. I don't know yet.
Yep. And then Kale says she's a raving lunatic.
Yeah, which is a great way to gaslight someone out of being on the right track.
And then they just go back to reading on their own until she hears some like weird, creepy noise.
Till she pulls out The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Took until that moment for me to be like, oh my God, are these zombies? Because the brains are missing. We're talking about half-eaten bodies. And The Walking Dead is what it took for me to be like, oh, maybe it's zombies.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Then she gets freaked out. Because also, this book just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then we got creepy noises, and then we find out that it's Kale dragging.
That was so funny to me.
And then she left the book far behind. Get that away from me.
Yep.
We get to 28. We're playing pool.
Not very well.
Nope. This is exactly how I felt axe throwing when I got the form down and I can chuck that thing and it would just not stick in the damn wall.
I've never been axe throwing. I feel like
I've been one time, and every single time, and I swear it was like our wood wall was chipping down. Like, we went to the other side and it was way better. But
Yeah.
like everyone else could do it. And Vic and I just couldn't. And I was like, I am throwing this perfectly. Like, I'm doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And it won't stick in the wall. That is how she felt playing pool. That, like, I know that feeling.
Same thing. Same thing.
And then, oop, here's another moment. Dorian pops in. She has no idea. Like, what happens?
Huh?
You are not the greatest assassin if you keep
No.
getting surprised by people.
Yeah. Maybe he's a ghost too. That's why he up on her because
No,
she
because
didn't
the other one, oh, I guess it was him and Elena.
wake up, but she woke up when Kale came into her room.
Facts. Well,
So,
also because he pushed the door open more, and remember she said she made it. So, like, it was.
oh, all right. Yeah, no, this whole moment here though, that was when I made my my Luke and Leia note.
Yeah, did you mark the top of 213?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it's like the oldest trick in the book.
was like, no,
This is
please.
like the let me put your hand on my hand and I'll go around.
We just watched the Barbie movie the other day, and there's that whole scene where it's just like, let me show you.
Yeah.
Like, of
Yep.
course.
Yeah. And then I marked it, and then it down at the bottom said, though it was the oldest and most shameless trick in the book. It's like,
Literally.
yep. To Dorian's dismay, his face became warm, and she was also red and blushing.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. If not more.
And then they've been playing and hanging out till 2 o'clock.
So forever. And they like get desserts and stuff. Honestly, this really is a very fun night that they're having.
Yep. And then now they end up in their chairs, and he wants to know or she wants to know what he's thinking. No, he asked. I can't read. I don't know. And then now we're talking about murders. And then she falls asleep. She passes out.
Which is like, that's very relatable. I'll just be like having a conversation in like 2 seconds. I'll be like, bye.
And he's like, he wish he knew more about her past. Knows comes from Terrasen. Her family's dead. Didn't know anything else. It's all a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, woke her up. He's like, you don't want to sleep here. You're gonna be sore. So then she shuffles to her bed. And she's just like grumbling as she goes, your books are over there.
Yep.
Good night, Selena. It's the first time that he used her name.
Mm-hmm. And then he notices her necklace. He's like, where is she getting all this jewelry from?
Yeah, like she's stealing things.
Yep.
And then he left and went back to his room.
And then we get another test.
Yeah. So this test is
It was like
sparring.
yeah.
Obviously Kane goes first because and then
this was epic. I loved this so much.
yeah.
She shut up so fast. So fast.
She's like, watch yourself, Baron. Knox is trying to stick up for her. And then I marked, shut your mouth, you damn pig. Caitlin and Dorian pushed off from the wall where they both leaned against, coming closer to the ring. They're like, oh boy, here she goes.
Yep.
Let me go check on my girl. And then it gets a little aggressive. They're like, take it out in the ring. All right, bitch.
Oh, sure. I will.
She doesn't even take his sword out. He takes his sword and she's like, I don't need that shit.
Exactly. So good. So good.
So then he swung. Selena struck, slamming her fist into his arm, sending the blade soaring, and then literally just like kicked him out of the ring.
Yeah. Which was just incredible.
Mock me again and I'll do that with my sword next time. And then she goes to Brulo and she's like, listen,
Which is
give me someone worth fighting. This shit's ridiculous. And then I marked this because she goes, here I am, just a little laptop. I marked it because Kane's black eyes gleamed. First of all, that part's like, anybody's got black eyes, you're a little rat. Okay, but then, all I hear is yapping.
Girl, yeah. Yeah, and then no one wanted to talk to her after that.
I'm not messing with that bitch, that's for sure.
They're like, that's all right. You do your thing.
All right. Then after the test, went back to her room. And then, what did I mark over here? We're back to wishing we were with Sam.
Yeah.
And then she put her hand on the amulet, and it was warm, comforting somehow.
Magic amulets.
And then find the evil in the castle, but the only truly evil thing in this world is the man ruling it.
Mm-hmm.
Preach. We do not like the king, apparently. Then we get back to Carlton.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Oh, they really made me feel bad for her in this chapter. Like the top of 220. Just
Oh,
like, no. I was like, don't make me feel bad for her now.
yeah, and then talking about Dorian and
Listen, I'll give it to her. She's very ambitious. She knows what she wants and she wants to get there.
oh yeah, Parrington had given her the shoes, and now it was time to dance.
So,
Okay. Now we're back to 30. She's working with Kale and training. And then now she let on to Kale that Kane knows who she is, even though she didn't tell him like when that happened. No, the other ones don't have a clue except for who was the other one? Varen, maybe? The one that was with Kane when
yeah.
he saw them.
Yep. And he's like, you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, and then the guard's like, you're needed, and they ran in there, and this is when he says,
That's
okay, you can come to the body.
yep.
And then they get there, and it's gross, per
And there's
usual.
weird marks all over the place.
And Varen's dead.
And Varen's dead. Which, you know what?
And then she does make the point of the claw marks.
Yeah,
There's no blood in these. He had time to sharpen.
this whole like description of like what it looks
Gross.
is, oh my gosh, actually so scary.
Yeah. And it's like he literally like plucked on his tendon so he couldn't run, and he nails, you could tell he was clawing the ground while he was sharpening his nails. It's like, oh boy. And he's like, okay, so what does this mean? It means you're in a lot of trouble. Then she kind of puts together, okay, maybe this is the evil that Elena was trying to tell me about.
Right.
And now we're back seated at the dining table. So we're not in the library. We're reading a book again.
Yeah, I was reading.
And then Dorian shows up and is like, you've moved on to history. I read what I like. And then he's trying to reassure her all the murders occurred in dark, isolated hallways without guards, and you're never like left alone. And then they start talking a little bit about the king.
Yeah.
Why are you so disheveled? Has Colton been clawing at you? And then we talk about the dogs.
Yeah, okay. So the dogs like helped me move on from my zombie a little bit. It's like, okay, maybe it's not a zombie. Maybe whatever. Because he was like, oh yeah, like we wanted purebreds, but like the dog gets out a lot. It could be anything. So I'm so.
You think the dog's fucking a monster?
The monster, the dog's just like us for real. But now I'm like, all right, so what if now we've got a whole litter of these like half monster dogs that are just.
Man, to read this for the first time again. Okay.
But so yeah, oh, I guess it's not at this point, so I'll wait on it.
No.
But yeah, that was.
Gun. We're still talking about some dogs.
And
then he asked her to play the piano again.
Well, such like
you saw what happened the first time,
literally.
And we went over the like was thing, and like Sam's dead and like didn't want to do music again. Why would you bring that up again?
He's like, oh, you just played so beautifully. If I'd known someone was spying on me, I wouldn't have played at all.
Yeah, he's like, memories of your parents. Don't ask stupid questions. Sorry if I pried. What did you think you were doing? And then now she's like, shut down. Yeah, I'm an assassin. That's all you need to know. And then they go the whole, oh, well, I'll ask you one question. You get to ask me one question. Yeah. And then she talks about why she likes music. Which was actually really sweet. I did really like it. Yeah. I marked, when I play, I'm not for once destroying, I'm creating. And then I used to want to be a healer back before this became my profession, when I was almost too young to remember I wanted to be a healer. Yeah. And then she asked him, why aren't you married yet? Married? I'm 19, which then I also put together, I didn't before, that he's 19 and Kale's 22. And she's 18. 18? 17 or 18? I think 18. And he says possibly the most
dramatic thing I've ever heard out of anyone ever. I can't stomach the idea of marrying a woman inferior to me in mind and spirit. It would mean the death of my soul. Boy,
He's like, you marry the person you love. You
which
don't
is
marry
also
anyone else.
like so cute. Like, all right.
He's like, I will die on this hill. Like, you marry the love of your life.
And then he's like, "Why are you laughing at me? I'm serious." She's like, "All right, well, that's stupid."
And then they get to talking or whatever, and she's like, I'm being practical. You're the crown prince of Ardalan. And then somehow we got to anarchy, which we
Yeah.
didn't really. And mark this too. He settled closer to her. His fingers brushed hers, calloused, warm, and hard. She felt restless, but at the same time remarkably still.
Both.
Ooh, okay. I'd like to know who's giving rings to my champion.
Yep.
And I like how she still like just never told him it was Kale. And then they go back to pool.
Yeah, she's like, billiards? Just
She very much wanted to stand close to him and have her skin warm under his breath. She liked that. Worse than that, she realized she liked him.
wild.
We like
Wild.
Tyrion.
I'm like, no.
Now we're at Kale watching Parrington, which is
Wait, but I know it.
damn.
I really hope I'm wrong on that.
On what?
That they're related.
Oh, no spoilers. Unless you want me to tell you.
No spoilers.
Okay. So this is pretty much just Kale like watching Parrington at whatever is this meal. Noticing how like he's getting kind of weird.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, wait a second. This was another was this another ring moment? Yeah. Yeah. So this is another ring moment where Duke Parrington is that's where I was getting confused. I was about to say the Duke of Parrington, and I'm like, that's not right. And then I was thinking the Duke of Wellington from Frozen. Duke Parrington. Yeah, he's just acting really weird, and his eyes are getting all clouded over. And then, like at the very end of the chapter, Parrington's eyes fell upon the black ring on his left hand and darkened as if his pupils had expanded to encompass all of each eye, which is all black eyes, which is what Cain had. They had described his eyes being all the way black earlier. I'm like, all right, we got weird rings going on.
Weird rings, weird eyes.
Weird rings, weird eyes.
Okay. Oh, now we realize someone's standing at the foot of our bed. Also Elena.
Long before she eyes.
Yeah. So she pops up while she's sleeping. She reminds her, you gotta win. And she's like, no shit, I was gonna do that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And then she comes to give her warning, keep an eye on your right. And she's like, what does that mean? Look to your right and you'll find the answers there. Okay.
And she looks to her actual right. And I'm like, no, this is definitely her. Like, the test, is it good? Are we going to trust her? Is that the right thing to do? And then immediately we like get our answer.
Yeah. So at the text next day, they had to
Harry Potter moment. We get a Harry Potter test.
They had to order potions and from deadliest to normal, and you had to drink the one that you thought was the least deadly. So they had time to do this. So they're sniffing them, they're looking at the colors, they're doing all that, and she's left between two, one which looks like wine and one which looks like water, and she can't tell the difference between either of them.
Yeah.
And then she looked and saw that Peller was done.
Mm-hmm. And
then she remembered, oh, poisons. Like, that's what he said he did when they were asking everyone. And then she's like, he stood to her right.
Having a good memory is important, more than just remembering people's brothers' names, but remembering what people are good at.
Right. Look to your right. You'll find the answers there. And then she looked and saw Peller, and he kind of like gave her like the little side eye, like, hey, with that one.
Because like I still don't understand why any of these competitors would want to help each
but
other.
This is the whole like underdog band together against the big guy kind of thing. Like, I mean, they're all in this fuck Cain, like you're just trying to survive, sort of. So she follows him, Time's up. They're drinking them. They have to have the antidotes because all of them mess up. And then Selena gets hers right.
Yeah.
And then Peller gets his right. And even Elena had told her how to win. So it was a little cheating, but like not really because it was a ghost. So it doesn't count.
Exactly.
And then we head to the last chapter that we read. Oh no, we got to 35.
Not the last chapter.
My bad. We're already at over an hour.
Oh my God.
But
Yulemas is only like a month away now.
yeah, where Selena and Nehemia are out for another stroll. They've been doing their lessons.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "You're quiet. What's the matter? I was up late." But she's literally like, "No, like something's wrong with you and you're not telling me. That's kind of rude." And what did I mark here?
I had stuff marked too. So basically, I was like, this is when I really was like, I don't know if I trust her. And also, there's just like red herrings everywhere right now of like who is being suspicious. Like, I had the dogs. There's like 3 different people that I'm suspicious of right now. Like, there's so many possibilities at this point.
And Nehemia asked her to go to a play, and she's like, "I can't go." And she's like, "You can't go." Well, we say you can't go. Like, what is your attitude, lady?
Yep.
And then she's like, "We all have our secrets, and I'm wondered why you're so looked after the captain and all that." So she decides she's gonna go to that. And then now they end up at the kennels. We're back to the dogs.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we learn that like they weren't all purebred, and then they were like, they're gonna kill them. And she freaks out. So immediately she goes over and picks it up. And she's like, "You can't kill it. Look at it. It's fine."
Oh, this is my dog now, actually.
And then she makes them promise that they won't kill the dog. He'll find a good home. I'll let you make the approval for the final decision. And he's like, "I don't give a shit about the dog. If you want me to do that, I'll do that." Like, and then he leaves them
daily
and still just chilling with the puppies.
He just is with the puppies. And then Nehemia, do you like
Yep. Of course not, liar. It's not a crime if you consider him handsome. I thought it was funny. And she said here, we're both silly. It's nothing. It's like,
yep.
You're always so silly.
Just silly goofy.
And then gets I would sooner cut out my own heart than love a Haviliard. Okay, strong opinions there. We do not like this family at all.
King did like destroy her whole.
Correct. I mean, if someone murdered my whole family, probably wouldn't like him.
Yeah, that's fair. It's valid.
So then she sees Kane again. Oh, he's not smiling this time.
So weird.
And then here we go. His grip on his throat tightened as if to silence the words that fought out to come out. The ebony ring on his finger gleamed dully.
Ebony ring.
We're getting there.
And then I said at the end of this, when he like books off, I'm like, do the rings give superpowers?
So then she sent messages to her boys. Yo, don't go out of your room tonight.
Do not. Don't venture.
All right. 33, we're back with Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
Learns that she's doing some crack.
Yeah, she
is pretty much.
Drugs.
She's smoking opium out of a pipe.
Okay, all right. She's struggling.
She said it's for her headaches that she gets.
Probably the withdrawal.
Yeah, that's pretty much her kind of vibes. And then we go back to Selena.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking in the weird mark books again.
Now about Nehemia's people.
Yes.
Just super sad.
Yeah, and then she's like freaking out.
Which is super valid.
They all get butchered.
Yep. She's like, what's the point? Not help my people. And it's just super sad. And like, I don't know why they thought that this was going to be a good idea literally while she's living at the castle. Was no one using any brain power?
No, perhaps not.
Ridiculous.
Then we get into Selena by herself. The clock chimed 11. Yeah. We're getting some stomach pains here. And then we find out, well, she's gained plenty of weight back because now she's getting her time of the month again.
Yep. Poor Kale. Oh my gosh. He's like, I know it's just so sad. It makes me sick too.
I know.
Like, are you stupid?
Read the room, bro. And she's like, no, like, I'm really sick, and then throws up on the floor.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, sorry. I'm not ill like that. Then in what way? I my monthly cycles finally came back. And then he immediately, oh my god, oh no. Runs away.
Oh, wait, before that, he's trying to get out.
He is trying to get something out, yeah.
That
Yeah.
he's like, okay, it's good you befriended the princess or whatever. And then he's like, I might have been wrong, and it's okay. What are we wrong about? And then he goes, I was wondering if you wanted to, and then she throws up.
And then she throws up, which is I'm wondering what he wanted to.
Yep.
You never find out.
And then he leaves.
Yep.
And then Dorian comes back. He's like, I saw Kale in the hallway and he told me your condition. You think he would not be so squeamish about this kind of stuff? Literally just saw a guy get like his brain eaten out of his body.
Yep. But no.
And then he takes a deck of cards out. He's like, you want to play? You look fine to me.
Oh my god.
And then he gives her a little update. The dog is doing well. And then he's being dramatic. Go away, I feel like dying. No, fair maiden, die alone. Shall I read you in your final moments?
Loved this. This was great.
Yeah, and they're just being a little sarcastic to each other.
Yep.
And then she... We're almost done.
Yeah.
And then she's like, ow, ow, ow.
And then
she throws a book at him. And she's like, oh my god, I just attacked the prince. It's like, oh, this might be a problem.
She's like, wait a second, I didn't actually mean that. I forgot.
He's like, I was hoping if you'd attacked me, it would be more than throwing a book in my face. And then it's Dorian, not your highness. Say my name. Say, very well, Dorian. And then he sees the little romance book that we got here on the counter.
She's just like us for real. She's reading Romantasy while she's on her period.
Oh yeah.
Like, just leave me alone.
Passions.
So good.
And then he kind of got a little mad. And he was like, oh, you should read it. And he's like, I would not read this. Oh, you're just like Kale. He's like, what? You asked Kale?
She's funny. She's funny.
Give me that, you demon woman. I will not have you matching us against each other. And he takes a book. Dorian just seemed to be watching her because he enjoyed watching her. And she enjoyed watching him too. Da-da-da. And then now we switch to Dorian's perspective, but it's still like right at the same moment.
Yeah.
And then Mark the next part, what are you staring at? You're beautiful. And he said he'd never known an attractive woman for so long without courting her, save for Carlton. Oh, okay. He was aching to learn what Selena's lips felt like. Okay.
What her bare skin smelled like? Whack.
Yep.
No.
And then we do a lot of thinking here. And then she's like, is something wrong? Because all of this thinking, he's just chilling. And she's like, what?
like, you good?
What are you doing?
You can smell the smoke going as he's
and now he's gonna be all, woe is me, you must hate me.
Yeah, of course.
And he's just kind of like venting.
Yeah.
He's like, I know something terrible happened when you were young, and something perhaps my father's own doing, and you have a right to hate us.
Like, yeah, so true.
And he's like starting to cry.
And she's like, no, I don't hate you.
He's like, I'm sorry if I've hurt you. I'm joking most of the time. Hurt me? You haven't hurt me. You just make things a little more entertaining. Oh, and then he mentions there's another ball that she can't go to.
But he literally says that this is a masked ball, which makes me think, all right, she's gonna wear a mask. No one's gonna know. Except for it's gonna end in disaster. I know that these things are gonna happen. There's a ball, there's a masked ball. She's going to go and it's gonna be an issue.
Yep. And then he's like, I gotta dip. It's midnight.
About to turn into a pumpkin.
Yep. And then he kisses her cheek, and then they call each other by name.
Yeah.
And then now Selena's by herself. Sounded dreadfully romantic.
Was Kale gonna ask her to the ball?
Maybe. Maybe that's what he was trying to do. And then the last chapter we read, 35.
Yeah.
We go right into Kale.
Yep.
So Kale's watching and he sees Selena and Dorian outside. And with each day he felt the barriers melting. He let them melt. Because of her genuine laugh. Oh, and then we got this. She was a criminal, a prodigy at killing, a queen of the underworld, and yet she was just a girl sent at 17 to Enderveer. And then he's like, dude, we're just doing this. Like, I was chilling, learning some stuff about the guard, and Dorian was courting this girl, and she was at a death camp at the
Yep.
same age. And then we're back to Selena. We're in the hedges.
Yep. With Dorian, but not staying warm in her little cloak. Not warm enough.
Nope. And then now there's only 6 of them left.
Yeah.
Kane, Grave, Knox, some random soldier with no name, and Renault, who replaced Varen as Kane's right-hand man because Varen died. And then now he's asking about the necklace again.
Yeah. I'm thinking our final 4 is going to be Kane, Selena, Knox, and Grave, I guess.
And then he's kind of like, is that another gift? Somebody else giving you more jewelry? Because I need to know. He's like, I can buy jewelry, kind of guy.
He's like,
But he's like, it's very old. It's like, were you robbing something? Because he recognizes it. And then we got into this little story about it. When I was a boy, I used to read Tales of the Dawn of Ardalan. Gavin was my hero, and I must have read every legend regarding the War of Erewhon. How can he be that smart? He can't have figured it out so quickly.
Guess
So
what?
she's like, has he figured it out? Which he like recognizes it, but like hasn't totally put it together. And then we get into a little backstory about Elena and the Dark Lord. Yay!
Yes. Yep.
Gavin and Elena, and then gave her the necklace, and Erwin couldn't harm her. Like she said, it would protect her. She saw the Dark Lord for what it was and called him by his true name, Voldemort. And they called her necklace the Eye of Elena. It's been lost for centuries. So obviously for centuries, nobody knows that tomb is in that castle.
Which is wild. That's wild.
And then she's like, you think that is that? Like, are you dumb?
She's
Perhaps
like,
it's a replica. And she tries to change the subject about Holland coming. Holland is not coming.
No.
Good. Because from what I've gathered, Holland sounds like Joffrey, and we don't want him to be coming.
We really don't need him a part of it now. I'm sure that we'll get to him later.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of time.
So, yep. Then that's their little conversation. Now we're back to Selena's in her room. It's probably a little while later. The door shut somewhere inside her room. Selena jumped, the book flying in her hands, and it's Philippa. Mm-hmm. She has been gone for a while, but now she's back.
Yep.
Or she also gave her the tea in the last thing, so.
Yeah, yep.
But it fell under the bed, and then she looks at the bed, and she realized that weird marks are drawn all underneath her bed.
Terrible. Real bad.
Terrifying. So she, like, throws water on him, gets him all, and then, like, leaves the room. She's like, I can't do this. She heads back to the library. Nehemia ends up there, and she's like, what are you doing? I have this part.
Oh, I guess she accidentally snuck up on Nehemia and still scared herself by...
Yeah. Nehemia tucks the book under her arm, and she's like, you're like every ignorant fool in this castle, Lillian. She said, with perfect pronunciation in the common tongue. It's like, Nehemia couldn't read books that advance, and now she's like speaking with no accent, like what the fuck. So a paper had fallen. Selena unfolds the paper, and she sees that did we get to it yet? No. Am I dumb? She unfolded it. She whirled around. Oh, the weird mark. Sorry. Was drawn on the paper, and she's like, why does she have this? And then we come to the conclusion at the end, but why would Nehemia plot against her?
And that was the cliffhanger of like the whole book.
I told you this was like a good place to stop.
Oh my gosh. So we still have a third of the book left and so many questions unanswered.
So many questions unanswered. So we'll see where we head next. Get excited.
I have no predictions right now besides just hoping that we're not going to have a Luke and Leia moment and Ring Skippy soon. No! We've covered too much content and now I'm at 10% better.
That's okay. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on TikTok.
All the good things, please.
All the things.
Make this our daily job.
All right.
We'd settle for side gig. It'd be fine.